Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Uri Burstyn, and Mr. Pirate and Claudia here are joining me for the video today. And I'm going to talk to you guys about how to treat heat stroke in your pets. Now, heat stroke is a life-threatening emergency, so let's talk a little bit about how we can detect it and how we can manage it. I have a strong background in emergency medicine, spent many years treating a variety of emergencies, and heat stroke was definitely always one of the more challenging ones because of the knock-on physiological effects that thermal stress can have on the body. So it's really best avoided. And I do have a video on my channel about how to actually avoid heat stroke in your pets and how to help them deal with the hot temperatures in the heat wave. There'll be a link to it in the description below. Please check it out, and then you won't need this video, which would be ideal. Before we get rolling, please remember to pet that notification icon, squish the subscribe button, hit like, share, and please don't forget to join me on Patreon if you appreciate the work that I do, or if you have a case that requires a second opinion, I offer those through my Patreon as well. All the details are below the video. So to treat heat stroke, we first have to identify it. Heat stroke is going to happen on a hot day. No brainer there. What are the signs? Well, let's start with dogs. You're going to see excessive panting with brick red gums. You might see really dry gums, or you might see a lot of drooling. Then you're going to see vomiting, muscle tremors, weakness, or disorientation, so cognitive effects, like your dog doesn't really respond to its call or just sits there and doesn't want to walk with you. Kind of worse progression from that, they might actually collapse or try to walk, but their gait will be really stiff, or they'll be like falling over and their legs will be crossing. And of course, that can lead to coma, and once you have a heat stroke coma, then things are pretty dire. Unfortunately, some of these dogs might actually seem to do okay for a day or two, but then go into organ failure like 24 to 48 hours later. So this should be treated very, very seriously. And again, you're going to see this on a hot day. What kind of conditions? Well, blazing hot day, maybe you go for a long walk without really thinking it. Maybe you go for a hike without bringing water for your dog and there's no streams on the trail. Maybe you have a brachycephalic breed, like a short-faced dog. And I talk a lot about short-faced breeds on my channel. There's videos about it that are going to be linked in the description below. If you have a short-faced breed in your life, like a pug or a bulldog, definitely check those out. Maybe you play with your dog in the park on a hot day without realizing that your dog hasn't drank properly that day. They're not very good at hydrating at all times. But those are all common situations. Of course, the one that should never ever happen, but sadly still does, is you leave your dog in a car. Never, ever, ever, ever leave your dog in a car any time of the year, but particularly not in the summer. I don't care what you do or how down the windows are. Never leave your dog in a car unless you own a Tesla in pet mode. Now I have to make that caveat because technology has progressed, and we don't want people smashing windows on Teslas, because Teslas do come with the dog mode that, when it works, which hopefully that's pretty reliable, does cool and ventilate the vehicle. So, exception for Teslas, but generally speaking, don't leave your dogs in cars. And even if you own a Tesla, don't leave your dog in a car, because somebody might not realize that Tesla has pet mode and still break your window or call the cops on you. So, just don't do it. Those are the conditions going to happen. Those are the signs you're going to see. Cats, very similar. Drooling, brick red gums, vomiting, loss of consciousness. One thing you should never really see in a cat is panting. So if you see your cat is panting, they might not be having heat stroke if there's no other signs there, but they probably could stand to be cooled down a bit, and they're probably close to it. Unless, of course, they're asthmatic, in which case they might just be having an asthma attack, or an asthma attack with heat stroke. So asthmatic cats should also be really kept monitored closely during hot weather, and steps should be taken to keep them out of the heat, keep them as cool as possible. And I go over some of those steps in that video on how to help your pets deal with hot weather. That's going to be linked in the description below and can be found on my channel. So what happens if you think your pet is having heat stroke? First of all, don't doubt yourself. Even if you're strongly suspicious that it's happening, don't be like, oh, let's see if it just gets better on its own, or, oh, I don't think it's fine. Because we have a really good way of trying to talk ourselves out of having to do stressful things, or humans are really good at just trying to convince themselves nothing's wrong when it is. We could refer to that, the house is on fire meme, but I think you guys all know which one I'm talking about. But don't do it. If you think your pet is suffering from thermal overload, take steps. Don't just wait, because wait and see are the three most dangerous words in veterinary medicine. So first of all, change the environment. Chances are it's obvious why your pet's overheating. Maybe you've been on a walk, maybe your cat got locked out on the balcony without any shade for a few hours. It's usually pretty obvious what's going on. get the pet into shade, get them somewhere cool, preferably air conditioned, or at least out of the direct sunlight. Help them lose heat. How do we do this? Well, cats and dogs don't sweat, but what we can do is we can make them wet. You know, you could make an argument for just soaking the whole body. Great if you have that kind of resource, but really what you want to soak, and I'm going to have to dislodge Claudia for a second here to demonstrate this. Excuse me, darling. What you really want to do is you want to soak their belly and underarms. So if I was going to try to help Mr. Pirate cool down, I would make the fur under his underarms wet. I would soak his little tummy, the ears, back of the neck. Don't get water in the ears because you don't want to set up an ear infection. But just, it can be literally everything. Pouring, like if you're out on a trail, get your water bottle, pour some water on their ears, on their tummy, on their underarms. Make sure you leave some for yourself so you don't get heat stroke. If you're indoors, a wet cloth or a spray bottle held really close to the body and gently applied is a great way to soak down this fur. Then get them under a fan, because the air blowing across water makes it evaporate, takes heat out of the body, helps reduce the core body temperature. Again, if you're outside, you know, probably don't have an electric fan with you, but if there's a breeze, try to expose your pet to the breeze. But make the underarms and tummy wet, make the ears wet. That will help them reduce the temperature. If you have access to cold packs or ice, don't be shy. Put ice packs right in there. In an emergency hospital, that's what we do. We have cold packs, pack them on the tummy between the legs. There are big arteries running on the insides of the hind legs. And of course, there's a caudal abdomen. You pack this area with a cold pack or ice, it'll effectively drop the core body temperature. Same thing with underarms. An ice pack on the back of the neck might be easier to apply in an animal that's not compliant. Still works really well. Lots of vessels here, and of course the skull. So a little ice pack right there will also do a lot of good. So you can just cover them in ice packs. Obviously, you know, if an animal's really fighting you, you have to kind of use your judgment a little bit, because if they're really resisting you, physically restraining them might actually exacerbate things. You know, if they're really panting hard, they have trouble breathing. So use your judgment a little bit. But if they let you, you know, ice, back of the neck, underarms, tummy, inside of the thighs, will effectively lower their core body temperature. Don't forget, in cats and dogs, they also radiate heat through their paw pads. So if you can wet down the paw pads or put them on like a little wet blanket or towel, that will also really help them lower their core body temperature. Of course, make sure they offer them some to drink, but never force water down their mouth. First of all, you cannot make an animal drink any useful amount, regardless of what you do, whether it's a bottle, syringe, whatever. There's no way to orally hydrate a cat or a dog effectively. It's a waste of time and just stresses out the poor animal. Also, if they're weak or have altered mentation, their swallow reflex might not be working. So if you try to force water down their throat, you might actually just give them aspiration pneumonia. Not ideal. Don't do that. But offer them water and make them nice and cold, wet their fur, get them into shade, get them into a cooler environment. And then, once they're stable, go see a veterinarian. They can run some blood work, because what will happen with heat stroke cases, you will injure the kidneys and the liver. You can pick up these changes on blood work. You can account for them. You can treat them with IV fluids, with oral medication. You can make this pet okay, or you can ignore them, take a pet home, and then a day or two later, the pet goes into kidney failure or liver failure and dies. Or you spend $20,000 in an emergency clinic and then they die. So if your pet has had a serious heat shock event, take them to a vet, get some blood work done. Help, you know, the veterinarian can also do like rectal temperature, assess their core body temperature, make sure it really has come down significantly. There's a lot that a veterinary hospital can do that you at home cannot, particularly if it's an emergency facility. Don't be shy, be proactive, because getting proactive and getting your pet checked out might save their life, might save you thousands of dollars, will definitely not do any harm. So just to review, watch out for signs of heat stroke in an environment where heat stroke's possible, i.e. when it's really hot. Be proactive about managing it. Cool the pet down using the tips I provided you. The RSPCA, the Australian SPCA, has a really good resource on managing heat stroke in pets I encourage you guys to refer to. If you don't have access to this video or just for your own education, I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. And yeah, just take care of your little pets and you will have a long and happy life together. So I hope you find this video helpful. Again, come support me on Patreon, help me make more of these, and remember to have fun with your pets.